LinkedIn also sends out weekly updates. Even as a social media speaker, I have to admit, I can't always keep up with those weekly updates. There's a ton of valuable information in there. So use this tool. Most people don't know about it. It's called Year in Review. You also go to LinkedIn Labs and type in Year in Review. It'll come up. Same thing, you put in your profile on LinkedIn, and you pick the year. So this was 2011. It showed me everybody in my network that had a profile change. And it just didn't list their names, which would bore me to tears. It actually showed me their faces. So the girl up on the right, I know she moved to St. Louis. I was aware of that. The girl on the right, bottom right, I didn't know what happened. So if she was a client and she had some kind of profile change, that's that extra information that you should be capturing, putting in your CRM, talking with them about, hey, I didn't know you had this life change. It could factor in what you're doing. If it's a prospect that you're connected to, maybe they changed their job. That's the golden goose right there. If they changed their job, you want to know that. You obviously know that's a rollover opportunity. There's a lot of great information. So this tool gives you the opportunity to, one, wow your clients, and two, prospect. Some of the basic mistakes, because this is a one-on-one session, is that, especially as a social media speaker, I get a ton of invites from these people I don't know. And LinkedIn, this executive at LinkedIn gave me the best way to figure this out. If you're walking down the street and someone comes across the street and says, hey, can I have your Rolodex? What would you tell them? Go take a hike, forget about it. And just think of your Rolodex. It's just business card information, where they work, their phone number, their title. LinkedIn is so much more. It tells you where they had previously worked. It tells you their interests. It tells you their website. It tells you so much more, what groups they're involved in. It tells you who they're connected to, what college they went to. So use this rule. If you would not go to lunch with them, don't accept the invite. Just ignore it. If you think there's some potential there, I love that this guy's position says CEO. Maybe I should meet with him. But I don't know if I can trust him. If your clients are there, you need to be protective of who's going to be in your circle. Send them an email before you accept it. Say, hey, would you go to lunch? Or would you like to meet? Or would you want to have a phone call? Use this rule. This is if you go to lunch with these guys, that's pretty impressive. But think about how you would build your network. The larger the network, the better. But if those links aren't strong, and you can't get an introduction because it's a stranger, it's not even worth your time. Basic stuff about LinkedIn profiles. So in that research era, people are going to go check you out. They're going to do research. A lot of flaws. There's opportunities to improve your LinkedIn profiles. If you've been published ever, if you've been quoted in a newspaper or magazine, if you've written a book, add this publication section. Because in a no testimonial world, this is a third-party endorsement. It's one of the things you can still get away with. Indirectly, it's an endorsement. So put that up there. That carries a lot of weight. I've been published so many times, I couldn't break them down individually. I just did one lump sum thing, and I sent them to my website to read all the articles. The next section down here, additional information. Again, they're going to be playing pinball. They're going to be bouncing around. Make it easy for them. Tell them where your website is. Biggest flaw I see, it's so basic. It just says, people put in their website address, but it just says my website. It doesn't tell them what they're going to click on. Entice them. Oh, yeah, I want to see Mike on YouTube. That's more likely to get some clicks and have people continue to learn about you. Lastly, the skills and expertise section. It's very easy to demonstrate your expertise by adding that. I'm an expert in financial planning, wealth management. You can do a laundry list. I think you could do 50 of these. If someone's evaluating you and they have this criteria in their head, make sure that you list those skills that fit that criteria. Some other don'ts. This is my pet peeve, I hate seeing this. And I'm going to talk about photos in the second presentation. I don't want to work with this guy. Do you guys? I don't. It's a people industry. So please, if you need a loan, I doubt you do, you're very successful, pay the $50 and get a professional photographer to take a picture of you. This is your personal brand, and your picture will probably tell more about you than the words on the page. Get that picture done. It's really worth it, I promise you. The other thing, alphabet soup. You've worked hard to get the designations that you have, and they are very important. I don't want you to say you downgrade any of them. Doesn't matter to the average person. I would say yes and no. It's nice to see some alphabet soup behind a name, etc. But do you go to the doctor's office and say, hey, where did you go to school, or what degree do you have? You want to know, can that doctor solve your issue? I doubt you ever ask the credentials and questions. It probably is an important thing that we should do, but we don't do it. And your prospects and clients probably don't do it either. So make sure that you don't use industry jargon. Be a problem solver. When they go there, they're evaluating, can you solve their problem? So think about the wording in your profile and see if you can make it better. Scary creature here, a dust mite. I put that up there. Nobody wants that thing. Electronic dust mite. Don't let your profile gather dust. That's one of the biggest flaws is you set it and then forget it. If you update anything in your profile, you show up on that weekly update. So everyone in your network, you're top of mind. It gets a little annoying if you update it every week. Some people actually do that because you're top of mind. But what I'd say is just keep it fresh. Look at other things to update it and keep people searching for you. Lastly, recommendations. My biggest, if you want to get me fired up at the bar tonight, having a drink, I'll tell you really how I feel. And I have 2 young kids, so I promise I won't swear in this presentation, but I get fired up about this because every other industry can get recommendations except for you. And this is the group that could probably change the culture of testimonials, those rules that were made half a century ago. But unfortunately, right now, you can't get recommendations. So don't put them up on your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is one of their biggest flaws. I love LinkedIn, but their company pages stunk. And a lot of the bigger firms will even allow you to have a team company page. They just announced last week that they have new company profiles. So they have 4 companies. I believe Dell was one of them. Go check this out. It's still too early in the game to see what they're doing because they haven't fully rolled it out to everybody. I'll probably write an article on this at some point. But the company pages are going to get better. So hopefully people will not just go to your LinkedIn personal profile page, but they'll now hopefully start to go to your company page. All right, let's shift guns to Facebook. I know some of you can't use Facebook, and it kills me. This is a heat map of all the users of Facebook. Look at the USA. It's on fire. It's really lit up. So any day now, LinkedIn's going to announce that they have 1 billion users. That's a 1/7 of humanity. Do you know any companies that have that much reach, that give you that much reach? I think you'd really have to work it to know 1 billion people, but there's an amazing amount of potential there. And in a word-of-mouth industry, I love this stat more than anything. More than half of sharing on the internet takes place on Facebook. So if you're not there, people aren't sharing anything about you. I apologize for the people that are limited from a compliance standpoint, and this might look like your Facebook profile, but again, call me day or night. I will try to help fight this battle of why you should be allowed to use Facebook. The one thing about Facebook, a lot of advisors don't get it. It's because you're really, there's the left brain and the right brain. You guys have probably heard that. You're very much analytical and very smart, very intelligent. But you don't quite get the value of the human side of these relationships. Again, in that focus group, they said 3 things. They like you, you care about them, I trust them. A picture can do that. It's amazing. So if you're coming across like a robot, this is an opportunity where people, again, they want to work with people. They want to go and find out who you are. Think of that Sterling picture, the picture about the trout. If he was an advisor and you were questioning whether you want to work with him and you were a fisherman, the deal's maybe closed before you even talk with him. So it might be an exaggeration, but there's a lot of potential there. Okay. Sure. Right. Yep. It's a great question. And advisors, most of you look great probably at work with a tie, and you don't want to lose that image. What I would say is people want to work with humans. This little quote I had here, an advisor had the same kind of reservations. I'll talk a little bit about more of this in the tool one, but he basically had this client for 15 years, and he described her as a little old lady, and he was about 65, so I can only imagine how old she was. So it was impressive she was on Facebook. He finally went kind of kicking and screaming and used Facebook. And the little old lady in the next client meeting said, wow, now I feel like I really know you. And that's an amazing, if you want to, you're trying to get your clients to loyalists where they never leave you, but then you want to get them to advocates. And how do you do that? How do you push them so that you're one, retaining them, but now they're your sales force? And I guarantee if you show that human side, they're going to have an even closer bond. Now, mind you, if you do need to use it wisely. If you're on vacation every month, the clients might be like, what, is this guy doing any work for me? The beauty of it is most of the things you can control. You don't have to put up every picture from every vacation. You can kind of control what you're putting out there. There's also two things. You have a personal profile and a company profile. The personal profile you don't have to let everybody connect with. If your client's not a friend of yours, if you don't feel that close bond, don't let them in that network. Because they can always join your company page, and your company page could be that more public persona. Want to get my good side? Sorry. Say that again. Yeah. So think about what you would want people to like you. Why would they want to like you? What's the connection? Do you love sports? Do you love eating? Are you a family person? Do you work with families? Do you think they would like to see you with families? Do you have some hobby that's of real interest? Again, you can make these personal connections that you never would have been able to do in the past. Because maybe if you meet with them quarterly, that could be an exaggeration. You meet with them quarterly for an hour. How much can you really talk about? This is a great way to get to know people outside of the office. And this is where I was going to head, is what's that picture of you that tells your story? What image do you want to get across? And think about it, because I'll talk about the importance of photos in the 2-1 session. We have the company page I talked about. This is a great example. People want to work with people. They don't. We have 10 more minutes. Is that how it goes? And then we need some Q&A, so I got to wrap it up quick. So these pictures. If you were going to go evaluate this firm, they look professional. They're smiling. I probably want to work with them. If you put that standard picture of the compass up or the lighthouse or the mountain, those all tell a story, but that doesn't differentiate you. Every advisor's doing that. People want to work with people, so use Facebook to the fullest to get your brand across. Twitter, there wasn't a lot of people using Twitter, so I'm going to actually stop here and allow you guys to start asking me questions. Great. All right, right off the bat. So there's when you get the question, next question we'll use the mic. So the question was, if I caught this right, if you get it. How do you get rid of clutter? People that have kind of like connected with you and you're like. Oh, you already have them. You can. I can show you. There's a few steps. It's kind of hard to find, and you can actually just on LinkedIn under the question section go. I could go online and show you the steps, but it's doable, and they won't know. They might, if they're checking their network, they might see, but there's no message that pops up. Go ahead.
Along those same lines, two other things. One is just the way clients like to have privacy. Once you start accepting them, then they can see who all your other clients are, I assume. And a lot of them, A, don't want that, or B, want to maintain. They may not like some of your other clients. They may know them if it's the same community. So there's a downside to it. I'm just, as much as I'd like to use social media more, it's a two-edged sword, is really what I'm asking you to address.
When you're connected with anybody in your LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, it doesn't say, hey, I'm a client of so-and-so advisor. So if you have a big enough network, they might guess that they're a client, but there's nothing that says they're a client. So they know that you have some bond, but they don't know that they're a client of yours. And so that's where there's some politics to it. If there's oil and water, that's something that even if you have a client event, do you want those two people in the same room? And so you have to manage that. It is a little bit tricky, clients on there, and that's why I'd say that you'd be really selective of who you let into your network. So the question was, you can set your privacy settings so that your connections don't show. I like that suggestion, but I'm also afraid to recommend that, because what you're doing is saying, everyone that links in with me, you can't see who I know. And that defeats the purpose of linking in, because you want to network, you want to help each other. So that's the very conservative approach that you might take. But I would say there's more benefits of being open. If you have a retention problem and people are going to steal business away from you, you maybe don't want to show your clients to the public. If you're a great advisor, you're probably not going to have that scary of an issue. I got one question over here, and I'll come back.
Thanks. This is slightly off topic, but more and more of my clients are asking to Skype